Hi, hello, good evening, good evening. Welcome to at this show. Thank you for joining us live. I want to welcome you for coming in. May God bless you. Let us know how the sound is, how the video is. We'll appreciate your comments down there as we do what we usually agree. Tell us about how everything is okay. The video, the sounds, and kindly help us to share. Help us to share. Make sure that you are able to repost this link. Hey, Ann Smith, thank you. Wah! It's long time. I think after this we're going to have a meeting behind this the tent. Thank you for coming in, Reverend Maureen. God bless you for coming in, Reverend John. Thank you for coming in. The rest of my great people, thank you so much for coming in. God bless you for checking in. I can see, hey, Masi Wamboi, today umesema leo utafika mapema. Thank you. God bless you for checking in. We are used to seeing you at around 8 or 7:50 there. So thank you so much for coming in. Kindly help us to share this link, repost it on your Facebook page. Make sure that you tag all the leaders that you know. Today will be powerful. We want to discuss something. I would call it something sweet to me, something unique. So I'm looking forward to have a good time where we can share and build our leadership. So all those leaders, tag them along. We're going to, by the grace of God, we're going to download some wisdom as God is going to help us. So I'm looking forward to having an awesome time together, even as we share. Let me check on our YouTube channel how it's doing as we kick off thank you. I can see we are doing well even here. Thank you to all our YouTube friends. Thank you to our Facebook friends who keep challenging us to do better, and we thank God. I can see someone here by Wambui Gadhua, Grosspe. Wambui, thank you for coming in. Ni gani nayo, but it's good. We're going to check later. Thank you for coming in, all of you. Keep sharing, keep tagging everybody on board, even as we discuss about leadership. Today is our first show for this month, the month of August, and we thank God for the journey that we have walked. Pole, and you're making strides, and we don't take it for granted. Thank you for everyone who take their time to watch, share, comment. We totally don't take it for granted. If you were to do this show with my director here, my producer, and then we find we don't have a reception, it would be very difficult for us. And today is the first Thursday of the month where we discussed leadership matter from our leadership corner, and that's what we'll be looking tonight. And those who have seen our poster today, we are looking at strategic leadership. I know we are coming to an end of the year. I know we are doing a bit of we are at the last gear of making sure that we get the best out of this year. So I hope you have a paper, you have somewhere you can be able to write some few points as God is going to help us to discuss what is strategic leadership, because it's very important. And remember last month, in the month of July, we were talking about the dimensions of leadership, and we talked about the height, the length, the width, and the depth. And we said all these encompasses a leader who understands where he's taking the organization. However small is it, however big is it, a well-defined leader is able to propel the organization to greater heights. And today we want to look at strategic leadership, because this is a very important place. I've mingled with a lot of leaders, but they don't have the clarity of where they're taking the institutions that they lead. Most of them, if you ask them, where do you see the institution 4 5 years, they're like, it will be a good institution. When we talk about the word good, best, those words are very relevant. They're relative, not relevant. They're relative words. You cannot measure them. But the moment we talk about strategic positioning or strategic leadership, we are talking about how effective, how efficient can that organization be. One, either by using less resources to get more, use less resources to get more results. That's a whole narrative about strategic leadership. Is a leader who is able to make sure that they're using less resources. That means there is no wastage, whether of time or resources, whether capital or non-capital. At the end of the day, you're making sure as a leader you're able to get the best out of each and every opportunity that comes, whether it's people, whether resources, that there is no of resources in that organization. That organization, in other words, when we talk about a strategic leadership, is maximization of the opportunity and the resources to get the maximum results. So you need to ask yourself, are we maximizing on either or all available resources that we have? Manpower, whether they are land, whichever resource that is there. Strategic leadership talks that you're able to take every opportunity and get the best out of it. Remember, I've said in this platform, every time that we come here, when opportunity meets preparedness, then performance become effective and efficiency. And when performance become effective and efficiency, then that means results are evident. In other words, when people are prepared now and for future, any opportunity will come on their way. They'll make sure they have positioned themselves and they'll get the best. So when we talk about strategic leadership, there are 5 P's, like Peter or Paul, that we're going to discuss this evening, that will help us to understand what is this thing we are calling strategic leadership. When we talk about strategic leadership, number 1 is positioning. Now, when we talk about position, as a leader, you need to position your organization, your group, your business, any institution that you're leading. You need to position it in a best way possible. That means the position where that institution that is based or it is positioned, it is able to tap at to each and every resources that comes along the way. So positioning is very important. Where have you positioned? Can it create a niche for itself as an organization? Most of the time you have find the work of a leader, we said, a leader in terms of positioning the organization, it means that these leaders have been able to develop the required tools that will help the institution to position itself to take advantage of the environment. Now, when we talk about the tools of leadership, which probably I'm going to mention, but in a very near future in our program, we're going to discuss about the leadership tools. And there are about 5 of them. And leadership tool, leaders tool that they need to have in place. Number 1 is the clarity of a vision. So there is no leader who talks of positioning an institution and they don't have a vision. That's why I will talk about vision in this forum until each and every person hears about me. It gets into your nerves that you need to have a vision. So one tool a leader needs to make sure they have in place, it is a vision which is simple, clear, and understandable by all. Everywhere I have gone to train about leadership, I tell leaders, please, it's not about getting jungles of words and a strong vocabulary. It's supposed to be a simple, understandable by all. Even the cleaner, even the smallest of the smallest employees of that organization can be able to understand tool number 1, which is a vision. Then I remember I also discussed here last time and I said, when you have a vision, then you need to have a mission. And what we call a mission is a very simple, it is the day-to-day activity. So tool number 2 a leader need to have so that they can be able to position the organization or any institution or any entity they're leading. Then they need to have a mission. They know what they're supposed to do. Then number 3, they need to make sure that they have what we call goals or objective. Some will call them objectives, some will call them goals. So they're able to have the goals. What do we want to achieve in a given period? In the next 3 months, this is what you want to have. In the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, this is what you have. So that becomes the tool number 3. Then tool number 4, which is very important. Any good leader, for these 3 to work, you must develop what we call IMEs. That is implementing tools. Then you need to have the monitoring tools, and then you need to have the what we call evaluation tools. Once you do evaluation tool for progress, which you're going to discuss, then you need to have what you call the R's, which it means reporting. So a good leader need to understand how do implementation of the vision, the mission, and the goals. How do you do the implementation? How do you do the monitoring of the 3? Then once you do the monitoring, how do you do did you know about what we call periodical reviews? And that is the evaluations. And then once you do the evaluation, you must know how to do what we call the recordings. The recording or the filings, in other words, will be able to help you. If you are to do the same thing next year, where can you refer back? You have gone to organizations and they don't do the records. If you ask them what was happening, by the way, this is a question you need to ask yourself. If you are still leading the same organization that you are leading, what if someone was to ask what happened the same day, last year, the same month, same day, last year? What was happening in your organization? Where can you go? Where can you refer? You know, I find people taking, things for granted. So when you are talking about positioning an institution as a leader, then these are the tools that helps you to position. So a strategic leadership, I have said, number 1 is positioning. So a strategic leader is able to position the organization to take the best of the environment, the situation, and everything that is happening. And for them to do that, they need to have a good vision, they need to have a good mission, they need to have good objectives and the goals, and then they need to have what we call the IMEs, that is implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. The tool number 5 for a leader to position the organization now is putting all these to one tool, which is called strategic plan. I know probably October, November, we're going to discuss about strategic planning, because it's very important that when you're starting a new year, you need to have a strategic plan. Now, the material for building strategic plan as a tool, it's based on the 4. The mission, the vision, the mission, the objective, then what we call the IMEs tools. Then when you put them together, they give you what we call strategic plan. So for any leader to position any organization they have to get the best, then they need to have those tools. Those are the tools that will propel you. Whether it is a small organization, whether it's a business, those are the tools that you use as a leader to position your organization. Remember, I've said this. Positioning of your organization is very important, because it's take advantage of time, of season, and also they are able to do what we call the marketing, or rather the environment mapping, and see how can we be able to take the best out of what is happening currently. If it's a business, how can we be able to scrutinize the environment and make sure that we position ourselves in a way that we are getting the best out of it, and everybody who is looking for our services, they can be able to come to us because they know we have positioned in a way that we cannot be hidden. So positioning for organization is very important, and a leader who is positioning any organization, they must know where the organization is coming and where it is going. So that's very important for a leader. So strategic leadership, number 1, it is positioning. Make sure that organization you are leading, you have positioned it the best, that even in the books of remembrance, during your tenure, during your time, you are able to position that organization in the best heights possible. There was efficiency and effectiveness of people working. People are self-motivated, of which you're going to come, because you have positioned it in a way. It's like, in other words, there is selfless leadership in a way. There is a selfless flow of everything, because there is a flow. The way things, the purpose of positioning an organization is making sure that everybody knows their role. Everybody understands what they're supposed to do. There is no what we call conflicting of interest or conflicting of jobs. There is a systematic, a effortless flow of things, because everybody have positioned themselves the way they are. The person who's supposed to be at point A is at point B. The person who's supposed to be at point C is there. So there is a kind of a flow, because people are positioned well, and they only position when the leader have positioned him or herself well. And a leader will only position herself himself when she or he have these 5 tools are very important. So a leader who kindly ask yourself, where have you positioned that organization? And remember, everything lies in. So your positioning as a leader will determine also where that organization can go. I know we are great campaigners who talk about, we don't build organization surrounding on a person, but we build an organization based on the vision and the mission. But at the end of the day, a leader needs to make sure they stand in a good position so that they can point people to the vision and the mission of the organization. So positioning is very important. Now, once we position our people and we position the organization, however big is it, however small is it, thank you, Mamshi, for coming. Shaluta, thank you for coming in. Mike, thank you. God bless you for coming in. Keep sharing. We appreciate taking that chance and to share. So I've said, once you position, then number 2, you need to be productivity. So P number 1 is position. Once you position, then productivity into bracket results. Why we are positioning organization, why we are taking our time to do the vision, why we are taking our time to do the strategic planning, why we are taking our time to have them is tools, is so that we can be productive. And I have always challenged leaders. There are 2 things need to sink into our head. Number 1 is making sure that we are prudent when it comes to resources management. I find a lot of wastage in an organization, whether it is in kind or, a lot of resources wastage. Why? Because you'll find organizations say we don't waste money, but we waste time. A lot of unnecessary meetings. A lot of unnecessary conflicts that have wasted valuable time for the organization to be productive. And you need to ask yourself, can you measure your productivity? Is the outcome, can you be able to merge or have an equilibrium between the incomes and the outcomes in terms of the match that we are putting, in terms of human resources, in terms of finances, in terms of capacity, in terms of wisdom and knowledge and information? Is whatever we are putting getting the same in terms of output? And you know what? Until that moment will be genuine with ourselves in the place of productivity. How productive is organization? Does it require rebranding, as we were discussing last week? Does it require restructuring? Does it require repositioning people? Does it require, tailor making some of the things we have been doing? You'll go to organization and you'll find they have certain programs that they do, but those programs are not effective. They're not productive. You find we are pushing a lot of things. We are putting a lot of things to some of the areas, and we don't get the same in terms of productivity. Can you measure your productivity? This week, what did we want to achieve? This month, what did we want to achieve? This year, what did we want to achieve? How far are we in terms of productivity? Because when we talk about positioning and all those tools, their purposes and how well they were done will only be based and will be evaluated with what we are getting. Remember, a leader is defined by results. And I remember I started here. However good you are in terms of how eloquent you are, how good you are in planning, how good you are in filing, how good you are in monitoring, all those will be measured against the results. Productivity. And strategic leadership is about productivity. In other words, the 2 dashes down there is equals to results. And I have said this, a leader will always be defined by how much they're able to produce. your productivity in terms of capacity growth, in terms of expansion, in terms of development? Where was the organization? Where is it? Can we be able to feel, the growth? Can we feel there is something has changed, even in terms of culture, in terms of how things are, in terms of self-motivation of the people? Productivity is very necessary for a leader. And that is one thing that shows you understand the matrix of strategic leadership, that you know what is positioning yourself, how do you use the position of the organization at any given time, and then you get what we call productivity. And productivity, there are two things that I talk about. Number one is what we call synergy, and synergy is where if two people are working effectively and efficiently, as I've said, then that means they can be able to give results for three people, even if the third person is not there. Synergy means that when two people are working with a common mind, with a common vision, with effectiveness and efficiency, then that means when two are working well as a team, they who understand how to work out on a synergy. What it means, they're able to save in terms of inputs, but they maximize on the output. So if a good leader understands how to do what we call business synergy or call leadership synergy, that means you are able to do to understand your followers. You're able to understand the people that you lead. You know who you require where, at what time, and what they can be able to offer. At this place of productivity, a leader must understand what it calls, or what we call delegation. I find a lot of leaders, they think they're the alpha and omega. They cannot, what we call delegation. And the purpose of delegation is you getting someone who is better than you, and you allow them to do that what you're supposed to do, but they're doing it on your behalf because you know they'll do better than you can. The place of leaders, and we're going to talk about it in the near future, about leaders and mentorship, and not feeling threatened because other people around you are doing better. As long as you're the chair, you're the chair lady, you're the treasurer, and probably you're a treasurer, but you don't know how to do, in terms of accounting and bookkeeping, so you're not okay. But you're very trustworthy in terms of finances. Who is that person you can be able to tap on their energy, to tap on their skill, to tap on their gifting, so that you can use what they have for you to become more productive? If you want to be more productive in an organization, then we must learn the power of delegation, the power of letting other people operate in our capacity on our behalf, because it means whatever I could have struggled doing, someone else is doing at ease. And at the end of the day, I'm not feeling threatened. Why? Because the bigger picture is about the organization getting the best resources with what they have at a particular moment. So there is no productivity when we don't understand synergy, that we are trying to make sure that we use as little as we can, whether it is finances, whether we can have lesser people working, but we maximize on productivity, we maximize on the resources. So synergy is one thing that leaders may need to understand how it works. Number two is about delegation. Learn to let other people do on your behalf. Don't struggle doing something that you know you're just an average, and there's someone who will get an excellence at their comfort, and they're just waiting for that opportunity. As a leader, you can give. So as a leader tonight, if you're feeling you have issues of threats, you don't want people who are better than you around you, then you need to start to work on your attitude. You cannot have productivity when you have a negative attitude towards people who are gifted than you surrounding you. Actually, let me tell you, in life, if you think if you have a desire to grow, then that means you need to surround yourself with people who are better than you are. Because anytime you have people who are better than you, they will challenge your mind to dream big. They'll challenge your mind to open. They'll challenge your mind to see opportunity where it's full of challenges. Where there is problem, they'll always push your mind to see solution. So surround yourself with who is who in terms of mind, because they'll push your capacity to grow. They'll push your capacity to start dreaming big. So as a leader, try to find yourself, you're surrounding yourself with people who can can do better, who can push you to become better, because productivity is the core reason as to why a leader is given that opportunity. And anytime a leader is given an opportunity, use all strategic opportunities that you have. And I've said one of the strategic opportunities you have as a leader to capitalize on your strategic leadership, it is learning the power of delegation. Delegate to people. Don't die alone. Don't think you're the only person who can do it. The other people can help you to become better than you are. So learn the power of delegation so that you can maximize on productivity. And I've said this, a leader is not defined by the seat or the position they hold. Actually, no one who cares the position that you hold. People are so much about results. As they say, no one who cares how much you know until you show what you know by what you do. So let's get to a place of being genuine to ourselves as the leaders, evaluating ourselves in the area of productivity. That is very important. Number 3, and very important, is what we call progressiveness. So you position the organization, then there is productivity. Then once the productivity is there must be progressiveness. And progressiveness is that there must be evident growth and expansion. You cannot be leading 100 people for the last 5 years. You need to ask yourself, how can we grow ourselves? You cannot lead an institution, whether it's a business, and the profit after all deduction, it was earning maybe 100,000 or 200,000. How can it grow to the next level? How can you make even enough in a leadership forum, in a family setup? How can the family grow to the next level? How that is a place of growth. The productivity needs to join hand with progressiveness. And when I talk about progressiveness, you need to understand when productivity is maximized, then the organization is saying it needs to expand. It is now to think how our people can go back to school, the people that we lead. We can think on how that organization can be able to have income generating project. How can it be able to expand in outlets? That is the progressiveness that someone can listen to and can also feel. As a leader, you have a growth mind. This is phase 1. This is what we have achieved, and we are using this productivity or what we have got in terms of result to be able to position this organization in the next phase. So progressiveness is very important in strategic leadership. So you must know how to progressively be able to move from one phase to another. Be able to challenge yourself. We have been in this comfort zone. How do we break it? How do we get to the next level? Because a leader is not afraid to comfort zone. A leader will always keep dreaming, and dreaming fall in the category of progressiveness. A leader should always ask themselves, if our customers are good or better, if our customers are better, how can we best? If probably we are competing locally, how can we be able to have a national outlook? If we're in a national outlook, how can we be able to have international self? Even as an individual, if you're leading yourself and you're the village champion, how can you progressively grow yourself to the next level? And when we talk about productivity, it's about now. When we talk about progressiveness, is about 3-4 years. Where do we see the organization in 3 years from now? Are we progressively going, or we are retrogressive? Are we going back, or we are going forth? Have we created a conducive environment that the organization can be able to grow itself? So we must learn how to, have the progressive mind. How is the organization grow itself? And remember, when you talk about progressiveness, we'll also talk about mentorship, the place of a leader bringing other leaders. I've said one of a plan in our leadership is a challenge, which we'll one day discuss about it. But when you talk about progressiveness, a leader start now opening. How can I pick other leaders? How can I pour myself to other leaders? How can I build other leaders? How can they become better than me? The place of now lifting others, so that you make sure where you are, if you cannot be able to break the ceiling, you have brought other people who can stand on your shoulder and they can be able now to break the ceiling. So with the place a leader is playing, you are bringing other people into that place, and they understand how the organization operates. They understand how system works, so that now they can be able to move to to the next level. So progressiveness, and when you talk about progressiveness in terms of attitude and mind, you're seeing yourself pouring yourself to others. You're seeing yourself bringing other people who probably they never thought they could do it, but you can tap at their energy, you can tap at whatever they are carrying, and you can start building onto it. A leader, when he talks about taking the organization to the next phase, they need to understand they cannot do it alone. So they start surrounding themselves with like-minded people. Once you become productive, the results attract people. But remember, whatever you achieved yesterday cannot be celebrated tomorrow. Let me repeat this. Once you get results, the results attract people, but results are not going to keep people. Why? Because today's achievement cannot be tomorrow's celebration. So that means once people they come because you achieved something, show them the progressive mind that you have, so that now they graduate from celebration to a place of working to renew their celebration. I hope I'm clear there. Result will attract people, but today's achievement cannot be celebrated tomorrow. That means if you are to move a journey with the same people that achieved a certain production in the organization, then that means as a leader you need to keep growing yourself. That I have said, a leader must always keep seeing things from a different angle. A leader must keep always renewal in the place of progressiveness. A leader must always be new, must have new ideas. That's why I get offended when you meet a leader who is not clear of what is happening in the current affairs. They're not even aware of what is happening in the organization. They don't have a touch with what is happening. A leader will always have the newness of mind, newness of idea, newness of energy, newness of motivation, because this becomes the propelling energy for other followers to see themselves progressing and growing. I hope I'm clear about being progressive as a leader, and I've said something very important, that yesterday's achievement and results cannot be celebrated tomorrow. So you need to keep pushing people so that they can be better. I can see my big brother, Reverend Nicholas Mwatha from Angata Rongai. God bless you. Hey, my younger brother, Paul Medho from Nyeri. Thank you for coming in. Wamboimboro, thank you for coming in. This is amazing. I like it. Keep sharing. Make sure that people are getting this wisdom, because we have to build one another. I thank you, Karoshi from Nyeri. Hey, today Nyeri is well represented. I think after this watu wa Nyeri tupatane nyuma ya hema, tujue venye tutapata gari ya kuturudisha nyumbani. So I was talking about the P number 3, which is progressiveness. So you position the organization. Through the position, you get the best product, the best result. Then the best result are supposed to use to propel the organization to the next stage, and we have called it progressiveness. Now, once we do that, for the 3 to work well, there must be a process. Now, let me run away from what we understand about process. But when you talk about process in strategic leadership, we talk about 2 things. Number 1 is culture, and number 2 is system. Okay? So when we talk about strategic leadership, and then P number 4, which is process, and we talk about a culture, and we talk about system. When we talk about system, there is a flow of doing things. There is a certain manner of how things are done. When you get to the organization, what make an organization get position, what get an organization become more productive, is because there is a certain culture in an organization. And I want to pause and ask, because I know there are people here who are leading, and I know they're great leaders. What is the wow factor about your organization? What is the culture? What are you known for? What do you stand for? Because there is no progress when people don't have a wow factor. When we talk about competitive edge and mapping your organization and positioning your organization, what helps you to become more progressive is because there is a wow factor. Things are not done haphazardly. Everyone understand how things done. I've said things most of the time when I talk about leadership. Look, even in a football pitch, the 11 prayer, there is a certain culture that how they support one another. If a goalkeeper doesn't have a ball, he cannot have a walk because they don't have a ball. The ball it is with number 6 or number 8. You never take a walk because our culture is when one is working, even if I'm not working, I'm there to give them moral support and support them. You have find in the most of organization, because of lack of a culture, there is this way of pulling one another. Anyone who try to perform, they are pulled down because there is no culture. There are no system. Things cannot drive on. They cannot drive themselves. So when a leader comes in, needs to bring in a system of how things are done. We usually have a meeting at every first Friday of the month from 2, and that becomes, it's not like today you're calling a meeting, another day you're calling on this day, another one. 3 months there is no meeting. You're calling and asking for report. Then there is no certain way of how things can flow. So for a process to yield, there must be a culture. And culture is what people are known for. What is the organization known for? If out of 100 institutions who are doing the same thing that you are doing, what will make, if you have 100 people doing show, and then we ask as the well show, what is the wow factor? What stands out? That becomes the culture of that institution. And any institution without a culture, it doesn't have a future. Any institution does not work on building the system that minus people. There is a system. When we were talking about backup system, and I said things everywhere. When you have seen the biometric system, it means any person who work in that organization, their biometric, their bios are already filled in a system that anytime you come in and you want to check in, you just need to place your finger or whatever you was picked as your bio. Then it just generates that you belong to that system. That means the same thing. Any leader who is listening to me, and probably you have 2 or 3 people, whether it's 100 people, work on building a culture. Let there be a culture. It will be a strength. It will be a strength for that organization. A culture has helped a lot of institutions to stand when there are conflicts. When you find the institution having conflict, going through hard moments, what makes them to stand is the culture. What is our culture here? How do we do our things? How do we deal with communication? Who communicates what to who? You have gone to organization and you find anyone can disseminate any information because there is no culture. There is no respect. There is no togetherness of minds. People are always on their toes moving. Do you know, they're looking for greener pasture. But as a leader, you need to give people what you call stability because they feel a sense of belonging. This will only happen when we have strategic leaders who understand the power of a process. That process that we go through, why people will persevere a process, is because there is a culture. There is a system why people will be so tolerant with one another, even if they have diversity strength, diversity mind, is because there is a process. My dear friend leaders, I pray tonight, in our small way and in our small leadership circles, we'll want to redefine the process, the culture part of organization, the system part of organization. That place will define that role that you're given as a leader, that team that you're leading. There's a certain culture you have built that make that team together, that make that team to dream together, that make that team to desire to work together, and they don't feel limited. And finally, strategic leadership in number 5 is about promotion. Now, when we talk about promotion, is a place of motivating people, and people, they feel they have the morale to work. They feel a leader need to understand that human beings, and I have authored this in one of my books, that human beings, number 1, they want to be understood from a relational point of view more than rational point of view. Before people they can engage their mind, they want to feel there is a leader who cares about their feeling, a leader who cares about their welfare. So when we talk about promotion, is a place whereby it's not just giving them position, it's not just about making sure that there is hierarchy increment, but the place of promotion is where everybody that works with you, they feel comfortable because you're able to appreciate their gifting, you're able to appreciate their contribution, you're able to allow them to be who they are. The work of a leader is not to limit people to be the way they want them to be, but a leader in the place of promotion is allowing them to letting the best out of them come out, because you have created an environment where they can thrive, and their diversity, you tap on it, you're able to tap on their diversity and use that strength. Anytime you give, whether it's a junior or a senior person, a moment to probably chair a meeting in your presence, let me tell you what you do, you are telling them that I believe in you. Anytime that you give people an opportunity to air out their mind, to give out their ideas, what you are doing as a leader, you are letting them have the confidence, you are letting them their self-esteem, you're letting them the entitlement about that organization. It's like you are proving them. And you know what? A leader, their greatest work when it comes to human beings is giving them that approval. They feel good. That's why I've always said a leader need to understand how to interact with their members, with their followers, because that's a place where they're able to share their in-depth thinking, their feelings, what they think the organization is doing right, when they feel the organization not doing right. The place of promotion is not just about money. I've said this most of the time. I find people leaving well-paying job and they go to just a simple organization, but the environment is conducive for them to grow. And you see what? People don't just grow financially. They want to grow career-wise. They want to grow emotionally-wise. They want to grow psychologically. So the place of a leader need to look at the holistic growth of the followers. So when people are following you, your work as a leader is to make sure that these people that are following you, they are growing holistically. As they're working for productivity of the organization, also the organization, to an extension, it's also helping them to be more productive with their life. That's why it's very important for a leader sometimes think of taking your people for a retreat. Think of taking your people for a refresher, what we call on-job and off-job training. Let them get equipped. Let them feel good for working for that organization. Let them feel they are the part and parcel of that organization. Don't push your followers to try and think of an alternative. Don't try to push your followers to a place of thinking they can get an alternative leader. Let always think as leaders that we have given our employees, we have given our followers, we have given our friends that we are leading in chamas the best out of ourselves, that they feel promoted, they are feeling there is growth, their motivation, there is a place of entitlement, they feel you concerned about them, they feel you not only just taking from them, but also there is what you call a give back. It helps the organization to grow holistic. There is no organization without people, because organization is not building, organization is not desk, organization is not computer. Organization, those parameters, what make them to be more effective in the organization is because there are people who can run them. So let's not forget about the human power, the human capital. It's very important for a leader, and a leader needs to know that these people, some of our people that we are leading are smarter than us. Some of the people we are leading, they are more educated than us. Some of the people we are leading, they are richer than us. But at the end of the day, we are the leaders. So whatever they have should not intimidate us, but we should use it to propel us to the next height of our leadership. So promotion is very important for a leader, to understand how these people will feel a place of entitlement, a place of belonging, a happiness as they're serving the organization. They'll feel the organization is concerned with what they're doing in their life. That will always help the organization to grow. So strategic leadership, in a nutshell, it involves 5 P's, what I have discussed tonight. And we have said number 1 is positioning. Positioning the organization in a higher place, in a higher niche, in a place where the organization become competitive, it become more effective in whatever it's doing, it become efficient in terms of how it's running things, in terms of using the resources it have to make sure that they maximize on the output. Then I have said number 2, once we have been able to position the organization, then organization must be productive. It must grow from one level to another. another. The sales must increase. People must increase. Whichever institution you are running, there is no position without productivity. So productivity now shows, are we able to position? And I've said, when we position, we must have the 5 tools. Remember the 5 tools of a leader. A good leader must make sure they have the tools, which number 5, strategic plan, where you put everything into a flawless document that everyone can be able to follow. Then once you do productivity, then there is progressiveness of mind. There is, moving from one level, expansion of the organization. Organization is able to see where will we tomorrow. And we have said very well that whatever we did yesterday and whatever we achieved yesterday cannot be celebrated tomorrow. So we must keep dreaming, keep growing, keep seeing ourselves that we're able to rebrand, restructure, so that we always be better. So number 3, we have talked about P of progressiveness. Then number 4, we have talked about what we call process. And process, I've talked about culture and system. There must be a culture, a way of doing things. There is aimless, flawless, there is effortless system that flows in the organization. People know what's supposed to be done. There is a certain way things are supposed to be done. Then the process will always govern the productivity of the organization. The process will always govern where are we supposed to go in terms of progressiveness. The number 5, I have talked about promotion, and I have said promotion is not just about elevating people's position. It's not just elevating about their salary, but elevating them holistically, thinking about your staffs or your followers in a holistic approach. I hope tonight's nuggets have helped someone to become a more strategic leader, to become a more effective leader. It's my desire, as even is grow from this leadership point corner, as the Well Show, we're going to have leaders who can be able to evaluate themselves and say, this is where I was, this is where I am, and that is where I want to go. Because that's the purpose. The purpose of this show is to propel you to growth. The purpose of this show is to prepare ourselves to a place of development, becoming the best of ourselves, becoming the best of our version, and not settling for anything below who we are. So thank you so much for coming in and joining. Today we had amazing people. I can see Jane, thank you for coming in. Dr. Steve, thank you for coming. God bless you. I can see Wangoi Joanne was in. Jane, thank you, loud and clear. Shiro, thank you so much. All those people, Maureen, thank you for your time. More informed leader on culture. Culture is very important. Never take advantage of our culture, the way of doing things, and that is the uniqueness, the factor, the standing out factor of any organization. It's very important. Whether it is excellent, whether it is compassion, whether it is integrity, whether it is time management, and it's amazing. So thank you so much for taking your time to share with us, taking your time to tell us how we are doing. We don't take it for granted, but we are honored and we are blessed. Thank you for all those who took their time to share the link. It is brilliant. So until we meet next time, same place, same time. And next week we'll be talking about family matter. We're going to have a very interesting topic. So make sure that you keep tab, as even we call it off tonight. Continue sharing. Run to our YouTube channel, Sam-SM-TV. Go and subscribe. Make sure this week we want to hit over 300 new subscription. And the only person who can help us to achieve this, it is you. So we value so much. May God bless you. Keep it safe. Till next time, shalom, shalom, and God bless you.